The neighbor who tapes boxes at 3 a.m. I couldn't be bothered to set up a fiber optic landline. My mobile data plan is high speed and unlimited. It's more than enough for a full day of work. I have absolutely no need to piggyback on anyone else's Wi-Fi. Yet, the woman in apartment 602, Mrs. Thorne, posts in our building's community group every single day to berate me. She claims I'm stealing her signal. Some people have no shame, she wrote recently, living here without their own internet, leeching off mine every day. It's so weak my security cameras are lagging. She became increasingly hostile, dragging other neighbors into her crusade. I didn't bother explaining. An innocent person shouldn't have to justify their existence. A week later, 23 units in the building changed their Wi-Fi names simultaneously. I was staring at the list in confusion when my neighbor from the floor below, Mr. Miller, suddenly knocked on my door. Inside the group chat, messages were still flying. It was Mrs. Thorne again. Young people today would rather be parasites than get a real job. Tossing her trash and stealing my Wi-Fi every day? Disgraceful. It's not just affecting my kids' Zoom classes. My security feed looks like a slideshow. If my son's grades drop, who's going to take responsibility? A string of voice notes and texts hit my screen like a bucket of wet garbage. Expressionless, I screenshotted my cellular data plan. The words unlimited nationwide 5G data were clear as day. I dropped the image into the group without a single word of explanation. My stance was clear. The group went silent for a few seconds. Then, the usual avatars lit up, the ones who always sided with Mrs. Thorne. The way kids use Photoshop these days is scary. Who knows if that's even real? Asterisk one wrote, Mrs. Thorne needs those cameras to watch her kids. Internet is vital for her. Have some empathy. Asterisk another added. Even Mrs. Banks, who lives right across the hall from me, chimed in with her typical peacekeeper tone. We're all neighbors here. Jade, honey, maybe just use it less so her connection stays stable? So that was it. No one cared about the truth. They only believed what they wanted to believe. I felt a bitter, nauseating sensation in my throat. Arguing with these people was a waste of time. I opened the group settings and toggled Do Not Disturb. The world went quiet instantly. I thought this would be a minor ripple in a pond. I was wrong. A week later, I stood in the lobby waiting for the elevator and idly checked the Wi-Fi list. My heart sank. A long list of network names appeared, clearly designed to mock me. 602 Stop the Thief. 501 Lock Your Signal. 302 Leeches Are Pathetic. The entire building, 23 households, had reached a bizarre consensus overnight. A cold chill crept up my spine. This wasn't a neighborly dispute anymore. This was a localized witch hunt, organized and targeted. And the target was me. At 9 p.m., there was a soft, furtive knock on my door. I opened it to find Arthur Miller. He looked stressed, glancing nervously up and down the hallway. Jade, there's trouble, he whispered, his voice a mix of curiosity and pity. Mrs. Thorne held a meeting this afternoon in a private side group. One you're not in. She told everyone you're not just stealing Wi-Fi. She says you're a hacker, that you're intercepting private data and stealing personal info. I almost laughed. A hacker? An illustrator who was too lazy to even set up a router? She says she has proof. She claims she talked to an expert who said your behavior is dangerous. She told everyone to change their passwords and use those Wi-Fi names to warn you. Everyone is terrified of you now. They're planning to ice you out until you can't stand it and move out. Finally, I understood. I see. Thanks for telling me, Arthur. I calmly saw him out. Before he left, he gave me a look of helpless regret. I leaned against the closed door, a heavy fatigue washing over me. I walked to the window and looked at the glowing lights of the opposite building. I had lived here for 3 years, yet for the first time, it felt entirely alien. This was never about the Wi-Fi. What are you really after, Mrs. Thorne? The next morning, I had to take out the trash. When the elevator opened, 4 neighbors were already inside. The moment I stepped in, the lively chatter died. A woman in a floral dress scanned me from head to toe, as if inspecting a piece of spoiled fruit. I stared at my own reflection in the metal walls. A calm young woman in black-rimmed glasses, showing no emotion. By noon, my food delivery was blocked at the gate. Ma'am, the driver said, sounding frustrated. Security won't let me in. They say there's a new policy. All residents have to collect deliveries at the main entrance for security reasons. I went down. The security guard, who used to wave at me every day, now watched me with blatant suspicion. "So, Jade, what exactly do you do for work up there all day?" he asked, trying to sound casual. "I'm a freelancer," I replied curtly, taking my food. His eyes narrowed, his expression becoming even more complex. Back upstairs, I stared at my cold lunch. The web Mrs. Thorne was spinning was larger and tighter than I had imagined. She wasn't just isolating me. She was mobilizing the building's management and security to label me a threat. A simple accusation of Wi-Fi theft couldn't cause this level of hysteria. What is she so afraid of? I sat at my desk and forced myself to think logically. My data plan screenshot proved I was innocent. Anyone with a brain should have seen through her, but they chose to believe her instead. This meant she had given them a reason more compelling than stealing signal. Then Arthur's voice echoed in my mind. "My security feed looks like a slideshow." That was the start of it, the only specific detail she ever gave. I walked to the window and listened. From the floor above, a dull, rhythmic sound drifted down. Rip, rip, the sound of heavy-duty packing tape being torn and wrapped around cardboard boxes. I'd heard it before, sometimes during the day, but always at 3 a.m. A thought struck me. Why would someone need cameras running 24/7 and be so hypersensitive about bandwidth? Why the constant sound of packing? A surge of unease hit me. Perhaps everything she was doing, the isolation, the character assassination, was a smokescreen to drown out that sound. She was afraid of me, a quiet, single woman who rarely left her apartment because I might accidentally see or hear something I shouldn't. She was striking first. I opened a shopping app and typed, "Smart video doorbell." I needed eyes on my own front door, not to prove my innocence, but to protect myself. I chose same-day delivery. At 3 p.m., the technician arrived. As soon as he rang the bell, the door to 701 Banks Place clicked open. She stepped out with a trash bag and froze when she saw the man in the uniform. Her eyes flicked to me, then immediately darted away as if burned. Then she saw the small silver device in the technician's hand. Her expression shifted, but she said nothing, scurrying toward the elevator without a word. I smiled inwardly. My every move was under surveillance. The installation was quick. 10 minutes after the tech left, my phone rang. It was a local number I didn't recognize. "Hello? Is this Jade from 702? This is the building manager." His voice had that self-important, bureaucratic edge. "We've had a complaint. You've installed a surveillance device in a common area. This is a serious violation of privacy. You need to remove it immediately." "Hello, Mr. Manager," I said, my voice as calm as still water. "First, it's a video doorbell, not a 24/7 recording camera. Second, under civil law, residents are permitted to install security devices in common areas as long as they don't infringe on private dwellings. My doorbell only views the hallway directly in front of my door. It's perfectly legal." I paused for emphasis. "If the complainant feels violated, they are welcome to provide evidence or file a legal suit. As a service provider, management has no right to demand the removal of legal security equipment without a court order." The line went quiet. I could imagine his face. A few seconds later, he grunted, "We'll discuss this further with the resident who complained," and hung up. I opened the doorbell app. The high-definition feed showed the hallway clearly. At 6 p.m., the elevator opened. It was Mrs. Thorne. She didn't go straight to her unit. She walked toward my door. She crouched slightly, scurrying like a rat, her eyes scanning my lock. She was checking if I had changed it, or perhaps looking for a way in. Suddenly, her eyes caught the silver square on my doorframe. She froze. On my screen, her face turned a ghostly, bloodless white. It was a cocktail of shock, fury, and pure terror. She stood up straight, glared at the doorbell for a few seconds, then turned and practically ran toward the stairs in a panic. I slowly hit save on the clip. Her guilt was now recorded. By dinner time, the group chat exploded again. This time, Mrs. Thorne changed tactics. She stopped mentioning the Wi-Fi and tagged the manager directly. At manager_Chris, "Are we just allowing residents to put cameras wherever they want?" The girl in 702 put something on her door. "Is she watching all of us?" Do we have any privacy left? Her message was a stone thrown into a stormy lake. Mrs. Banks was the first to jump in. Exactly. It's too much. My kids play in that hallway. Are they being watched? It has to go. This is a violation of everyone's privacy. Another neighbor chimed in. Support Mrs. Thorne. Management must act. In an instant, the group became a sea of righteous indignation. I watched the screen, but I wasn't angry. I was amused. I didn't argue. I simply uploaded the clip of Mrs. Thorne lurking at my door. The video was short, only 15 seconds, but it showed her shifty, guilty behavior in perfect detail. Below it, I typed, I installed the doorbell for security. Since someone keeps lingering outside my door while I'm home alone, I was starting to get a bit scared. I didn't name her, but everyone knew. The group fell into a deathly silence, like a noisy market that had been muted. A few minutes later, the messages started disappearing. One by one, the people who had been screaming for the camera's removal deleted their texts in a fit of visible embarrassment. Mrs. Thorne finally broke. She ripped off the mask of the victim. Jade, what the hell is this? You're threatening me? You're recording me illegally? Asterisk? Her voice note shrieked, distorted by rage. But this time, no one backed her. The group remained silent. Then, my phone buzzed with a private message from Arthur Miller. It was a thumbs-up emoji. Nice work, Jade. I think I just saw her face turn green from across the hall. I smiled. I knew that while they might still keep their distance, the seeds of doubt had been planted. And I was just getting started. The hallway was quiet for a few days, and the tape-tearing sounds continued at their scheduled hours. I sat at my computer and searched. High-volume packing at home, plus camera sensitivity, plus paranoid neighbors. The results were telling. Clandestine warehouses for counterfeit goods, or transit hubs for online scams. Given Mrs. Thorne's obsession with internet speed and her greedy, status-conscious personality, the counterfeit ring theory fit perfectly. It explained why she needed a constant connection, why she needed to pack boxes all night, and why she was terrified of a neighbor who was always home. To verify, I started watching the deliveries. Being a freelancer has one perk, a flexible schedule. I timed my trash runs with delivery peaks. Every day, apartment 602 received and sent dozens of unmarked cardboard boxes. The labels were always vague, B, Thorne, or just a phone number, with no specific unit number on the return address. A classic move to avoid a paper trail. One afternoon, I caught a courier with a heavy cart of boxes for Mrs. Thorne. Business must be booming in 602, I said casually. I see boxes coming and going every day. The courier wiped his brow. Tell me about it. Every day, different names on every outgoing package. Mostly handbags and cosmetics. Heavy as lead, too. My heart skipped a beat. Luxury bags. Cosmetics. The final pieces of the puzzle clicked into place. I thanked him and stepped into the elevator. As the doors closed, in the silence of the small metal box, I could hear my own heart racing with excitement. I've got you now, Mrs. Thorne. I needed a catalyst. A way to make the neighbors see the truth for themselves. Through Arthur, I found a way to see Mrs. Thorne's social media feed, the one she had blocked most of us from seeing. It was a mini boutique of luxury goods, dozens of posts daily, edited photos of designer bags, watches, and skincare. Direct from the factory, the captions read. Authenticity guaranteed. Local pickup available. I asked Arthur about her husband. Always away at construction sites, he said. Home maybe 3 times a year. She's just a stay-at-home mom. Perfect. She had the time and the space to run a shadow operation. Now, I just needed a lever. At 4 p.m., while the group chat was bickering about building fees, I tagged Mrs. Banks. Mrs. Banks, sorry to bother you. Isn't your daughter studying in Paris? I was looking at a specific designer tote, but the prices online vary so much. Could you ask her what the actual retail price for the crescent bag is over there? I chose a specific model I knew Mrs. Thorne was currently on sale in her secret feed. Mrs. Banks, never one to miss a chance to brag about her daughter, agreed instantly. An hour later, Mrs. Banks posted a screenshot of her daughter's reply. Mom, that bag is impossible to find. It's over $4,000 at the flagship store, and there's a 6-month waiting list. She even included a link to the official site. The group went quiet. Then, a neighbor who loved fashion couldn't help herself. That much? I saw someone in my feed selling it for $800. She didn't name names, but the implication hung in the air. Another neighbor chimed in. Exactly. At that price, it has to be a scam. I waited for the perfect moment. I typed slowly, like a curious consumer. I was wondering the same thing. How can someone get authentic stock that cheap? It would be such a shame if someone accidentally bought a counterfeit.